as we are approaching the 2024 season. I
Mhm.
am joined with John Conniff, who is the main guy at Mad Friars. How's it going, John?
I'm doing fine. How you doing, Craig?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good.
My
First,
beloved
what?
Cowie in the North County. We'll just get that out of the way to begin with. Go ahead.
Absolutely. The first thing I wanted to get into is I think we're having an interesting spring in with Jackson Merrill.
Yes.
I shouldn't say I'm a little worried. I'm very worried that they are rushing this kid. And I mean, I don't even know how many games he played in Double A. Um, he's only 20 years old, right? I mean, I just
Correct.
feel like they're rushing him. And I saw it like right from the beginning of spring training, prior to spring training even started. I already saw AC started writing articles about Merrill, and it was almost like he's on the team. And I'm like, dude, and I look, I'm not an AC fan, but I'm not trying to bash AC. AC's just doing his job.
hmm
I just felt like the
Yes.
team was already like, hey, AC, promote Merrill and make it like as if he's ready and this and that. And I would just like to know what your thoughts would be if you think he's ready or how he's going to do. I don't know. I don't know how else to say it. I just think
Well,
he's getting rushed.
one way I was talking with David J, and on the outset, both of us think he should go back to the minor leagues to play shortstop. And the overall picture is Kim's leaving at the end of the year. I mean, they don't
Yes.
have the money to do that, so let's just get that out of the way. There's not going to be an extension. So I think Jackson Merrill's a shortstop of the future. Now, one thing we haven't done well because it kind of takes too much time on our radio hits or when we go on podcasts is this is how I look at it. If your kid was in the Padres system and let's say starting out the complex league, and he's a third baseman or whatever, he has a good year offensively, and he goes up to the plate and he just swings at strikes. Someone like me is going to write, man, he's really good, just swings a strike, plate discipline, blah, blah, blah. Make sure he goes up to the A ball level. And let's suppose early in the count he sees a good slider or a curve that's a pitcher strike, doesn't swing at it. Pitcher strike, waits till something comes in, middle in. Then someone like me writes, the guy does a really good job. He's disciplined, he forces the pitcher to come in and blah, blah, blah. When you get to Double A and above, all these guys can play. About 75% can play in the major leagues. The other 25% are on their way out. And with them, the difference between them and major leaguers is just how consistent someone can be. So someone like, Merrill's going to see someone throw, maybe who can now throw a pair of sliders for a strike early
Mm-hmm.
in the count. And then what do
Mm-hmm.
you do? And then that's the whole thing where you always hear announcers go, making an adjustment, maybe when you see the two sliders on the strike, you lean out there and suddenly you see 91 and on the hands, or you see a change at the dives. Those are types of things that you have to be ready for. And so my thing is when people look at spring training stats where it looks okay, none of those guys are really throwing a breaking ball. A lot of pitchers are kind of struggling with their command,
Command.
or like
Mm-hmm.
Joe Musgrove, they're working on something else.
Yeah.
So to
They're.
count on anything what you're seeing in spring training is wrong. Now
Mm-hmm.
I'll go a quick 15 seconds. I have a bit of a vested interest in that. I have a ongoing bet with miserable Padre fan Eric on whether Merrill, Marcy, Salas, or Pauly was going to make the major league roster, and the loser has to pay for a big feast. Now Eric's won the past two bets in a row,
So
so I don't really
what
want to see that. What
what's
were
the
they?
bet? The bet is
If
if any of them make it.
if any of the four make the opening day roster. And the
Oh,
one I
opening day.
lost, yeah, the one I lost on last year was I said, there's no way they're going to sign Xander Bogaerts because what would they need another shortstop for? It's going to put him behind the eight ball. And Eric said, hey, it's not my money. And he won that one. And then the one before, I think the last one of the times I was on here, you and I were talking about whether CJ Abrams should be the starting
Oh
shortstop after playing 40
yeah.
games in the minor leagues over Ken. I said, no, that'd be stupid. Why would they put him out in right field when he's never played that? And then, so now I got the big boy going, hey, I've taken your social security check twice, old man. I'm going to do it a third time, talking shit. So now to be fair to Eric, he thinks I'm right. He just thinks the Padres will do it.
Right.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't I kind of agree with Eric. That's what worries me. is I just saw it right from the get go. Like AC started writing articles, and again, I'm not bashing AC. Um,
No, no, he's reporting on what is going on,
yeah,
which is what he should do, and
he's
you and I
being
can debate what it
he's
means.
yeah, he's writing what they're telling him. Like,
Right.
hey, and I just feel like it's almost like forced because it's like I look at it like this, John.
Mhm.
We don't have a center fielder, we don't have a left fielder, and we have no fucking left-handed bats. I don't know why no one's talking about that. I haven't
Yeah.
heard really anyone in the really in the media like emphasizing how bad we don't have a left-handed any power, any nothing. We have Cronenworth. That's it.
They've tried talking to the Brewers. I believe AC or Sanders reported that, or Dennis Lynn, that they had ongoing trade talks with the Brewers for Sal Frelick, who is a left-hand hitting outfielder, because the Brewers have far too many outfielders. But yeah, I mean they don't have that. But here's the thing: if you go back to the prospects thing, if you promote a guy who's not ready and based on team's need, it doesn't fit either one. You
No,
know, I mean, it doesn't. And the thing too is, I want Merrill down in San Antonio. I want him getting out, not only the bats, but he's really improved a lot defensively as a shortstop. I want him ready to go in. I don't want to see Bogarts as a shortstop, coming in 2025. I want the kid that's 21 running around there doing it. And the thing is, we really like Merrill a lot. Okay. I mean, Merrill was our number one prospect. He's grown. He's about six. He might be 6'4" now. I'm going to go on out to spring in a couple weeks. But he was at least 6'3.5" when I saw him last spring. He's a good 205. And a good example of this is last year there was a huge debate whether to put Merrill starting Fort Wayne or San Antonio. And we
mm-hmm.
said he should go to Fort Wayne because, one, he only had like 40 games in low A. He needed to see more velocity, especially on the inside part of the plate. He didn't see a whole lot of that at Severna Park, Maryland. All right. He struggled a little bit at the beginning, and then he just really crushed it. He really turned on the ball. His biggest thing is being able to pull the ball. He's a left right guy. So he has a real easy stroke going to left center. That's when he's on. But his biggest thing was learning to do that. He showed that in Fort Wayne. And the reason you put guys down there is you don't want to. When Merrill was struggling early in Fort Wayne, there was no thought that he needs to go back to the Cal League. He just needs to be there and
Yeah,
let him sit
yeah.
and do that. If they'd put him up in Double A, that would have been a discussion. And I'm sure
Mm-hmm.
we're going to get into moving Ethan Salas up. I'm sure you're going to want to chat about that in a little bit.
Yeah, we'll
Quick to
get to
Double
him.
A.
We'll get to
Yeah,
him next. Um,
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
We got a lot
any
of
going
things.
I just I'm just worried that they're fucking Merrill over like they kind of did with Abrams. Like you were talking about
Yes.
earlier, we had a discussion. I don't even think I discussed last year with you because I was almost like I don't really. Um, I
No.
felt like the roster was so set. I was like the minor leagues was kind of my afterthought. Now I'm like thinking about the minor leagues even more than I am the current team because I see so many freaking holes on this team.
Yes.
I'm like I'm thinking more of the future, and I'm hoping Machado, Bogarts, and Musgrove are still, contributing at that time
Mhm.
when actually we have a shot at being a good team. Because, I mean, I see so many holes on this team; it's ridiculous, and I fear that they're bringing up Merrill, rushing him because they're saying we don't have any left-handed bats, we don't have any outfielders, therefore we need to bring up this kid. And it's like, dude, you're putting way too much pressure on this kid. You're bringing him up. I have no idea why they brought up Abrams the first time. They were like splitting with him and Kim. It's like, aren't you trying to develop both of them? It's like, oh, well, we'll bat him against right-handers. We'll bat him against left-handers. What are we doing, dude? This is my problem
Oh,
with this
and the narrative
organization.
on that was so bad because it was the whole thing was, well, there's nobody else we could get to have the 26th man on the roster. That was it. That was idiotic. Yeah, I mean, Batten was fine for that role, which you needed a guy who could maybe play one or two games a week and go in as the guy who's going to be a late inning replacement. He was a 26th round draft pick, had 2 years of AAA. That's what he's there for. The guy who was your number one draft pick, who's only had 40 games, who has a lot
Mm-hmm.
of talent, who just needs to take a lot of ground balls, see a lot of spin. Guess where he needs to be? He needs to be in the minor leagues. So I
Exactly.
mean, and the thing about Merrill
Exactly.
is Merrill looks like a seasoned veteran compared to the other guys they're talking about. Paulie and Jacob, who I like a lot, they have under 100 plate appearances, both of them in Double
Yeah.
A. It's
That,
ridiculous to even talk about that. And they're good guys. They're good players. Marcy's as good a defensive center fielder as I've seen in all the years I've done this for Mad Friars. Yeah, he just needs, it's like if I'm making you a chocolate cake that's all these great ingredients, it takes 30 minutes to cook, and you just said, screw it. I want it now after 10
Yeah, yeah,
minutes.
just throw it
It,
all in.
yeah,
No, you
yeah,
gotta let it
no, dude.
season. You gotta let it
Yeah,
season. So
exactly.
it's I mean, I'm an NFL guy. NFL is like the sport
Right.
I love. But it's almost like this. Like I've never seen a quarterback who sat longer than he probably should have and it didn't benefit him compared to all the guys that get rushed. Like Aaron Rodgers is a first ballot Hall of Famer. He sat 2 years behind Favre. Kind of worked out.
Right.
Patrick Mahomes is going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer if he freaking passes away tomorrow. I'm not hoping he passes away
Right.
or anything, but if he
Point.
never plays, let's just say he retires tomorrow, he's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. He sat for a whole season, played one game in like week 17. All the quarterbacks that get kind of rushed, like you got like 50-50 on it, or what I'm trying to say is you could get rushed too early and it can kind of fuck them. Where I would rather be, conservative about it and just be like, hey, we might have kept him 2 more months than he was ready 2 months earlier, but we saved him a little bit longer, especially on a season that, let's be honest, the Dodgers are going to be 15 games above us by what, the middle of June?
Yeah.
Like we're not competing for a division, we're competing for a wild card. I get that. You want to make a wild card, but I don't think we're really competing for 2024. Let's try to compete when let's try to let's try to put our organization in the right situation for 2025, 26, 27. Instead of rushing a kid who's only 20 years old, you're going to put him at a new position, either center field or left field, and he's only played what? How many games did he play in Double A? He was in High A at the beginning of the year, and he played Double A.
Correct.
What like 40 games? What did he play? Maybe.
About that, and the thing is, too, is he got hurt kind of at the end of the year.
Yes,
And
yes.
one thing that people are mistaking about this is, yeah, center field is easier for a guy like Jackson Merrill to play because he's a good athlete. He can run, except for on one thing where they get hurt is going back deep in center field compared to left and right is a lot different because you're going back there full speed. And you can seriously, there's been a lot of guys who've gotten hurt by just crashing into that wall. But
Absolutely.
it just let's look at some times when I've been wrong. If you'd asked me when Fernando Tatis came up, I would have said he should have gone to El Paso to start. Okay, and Tatis turned out okay, which is great. I have no problem saying when I was wrong. Okay, but not everyone's Fernando
Yeah,
Tatis. Okay,
he's different, John. He's different. He's
yeah, he
different,
is
man. I
different.
mean,
And just
we're
what is?
hoping we're hoping
It's not going
Merrill's
to
a
help
good
you putting Merrill up. What
we're
Merrill's
hoping
probably going to do. I'm sorry, I keep cutting you off.
We're hoping Merrill's a good player, but Tatis is he was on a different planet. Like he was in low
Yeah.
A and he jumped to double A. And I remember my uncle doesn't even watch like the minor leagues. I remember he texted me, it was one spring training that Tatis was in spring training, like how some of these kids are right now. And he was like, dude, I'm telling you, that guy's pissed that he wasn't on the major league team. I'm like, dude, he was in fucking low A. Like, you can't go
Yeah.
from low A to the major league. And my uncle was like, dude, no, he's pissed. I'm telling you, that guy's gonna be up sooner than you think. And I'm thinking like, the old process, like, he'll go from low A, double a long season of double A, and he'll be fine. He went to double A, barely played in double A because remember he had like that injury for like 6, 8 weeks. He missed like
Hmm.
basically the whole second half. And then he was on the opening day roster the following season. But that guy's on a different planet. Like, we're
Yeah.
hoping Merrill's a good player, not a fucking first ballot. I think Tatis steroids. I mean, we're going to find out on him on steroids, but I think he's going to be a
Yeah.
first ballot Hall of Famer. I'm just hoping Merrill's a good player. Like, I don't know. Bottom
It's
line,
unnecessary. It's not going to help you on either side. It's not going to help
what
the team win more, and it's not going to help Merrill more. So why do
John?
it?
What hurts the team if they say, you know what? Let's save him 2 more months, and let's say by June 15th, let's see if he's ready. How does that hurt the organization? I just don't get it.
It helps organization in a couple ways. One, it gets him more reps at shortstop. Two,
Thank
he
you.
can go out there and play some more outfield, which he's gotten to play, I think, about
Right.
4 games on left field. Let him roam around there. And I mean, the bigger thing is it's going to help you next year in 2025. The one thing Merrill had some problem with, he had some problem with lateral movement. He worked on that. It's great. He had some problem with pulling the ball. He worked on that. It's good. The one problem is with he get his feet tied up a little bit and throw off balance. Let him work on that. He's 20 years old. I mean, he shouldn't, in my opinion. Yeah, I mean, they kind of rushed a bunch of guys before, and even Campisano, who's working out now. I mean, they
Yeah.
skipped him from high A. They kept him in Triple A. Things were so bad in Triple A for a while, to be honest. I didn't
Oh
think
yeah.
Campisano
Oh
was
yeah.
going to do it.
Oh
He had
yeah.
some. I mean, you'd go down there, and there were
I
some
saw that.
interesting things I
Yeah.
couldn't exactly verify, but I was always really happy that he turned out the way he did. I never
Yeah.
doubted his talent. No, I
Yeah.
didn't. I mean, he could play. But,
Yeah.
like a lot of these guys, the thing about San Antonio is going to be interesting this year is probably their pitching staff is going to be as good as anything I've ever seen, a Padre organization have. You're going to have Snelling, you're going to have Iriarte, you're going to have Mazer, you're probably going to have Dylan Lesko up there pretty quick. It's going to be a really good squad. So they could have some serious pitching, and it's not 2 or 3 years away. I mean,
No, no,
these guys
no.
could be coming up by next year. And two, Jackson could be competing for a major league job, but he really got dinged up when he was in low A. So he's had under 1,000 plate overall minor league plate appearances. And it just takes a while to see what happens when when a guy can throw three quality pitches. You
Yeah.
don't see that at the A ball level and below. That's my whole thing why he needs some more time double A.
Last question on Merrill, then we're gonna move on to the
Mhm.
other guys. Is
Got it.
I saw Tom and Adam in the chat, and I agree with them. Are you concerned on the ground ball, like the ground ball rate? I mean, I see a lot of his hits.
Yeah.
I like him. I like him going to the opposite field. To me, that means you have good bat control and you know what you're doing instead of just being pull happy.
That
But
a
the
lot of that's a
ground
left
ball,
right guy, yeah. His top
the,
hand is really strong.
yeah, the ground ball rate worries me. I'll admit, I mean, those analytic guys, I rip them all the time, but there's certain things that I've gotten wrong is the ground ball rate stuff. I used to just be like, who gives a fuck? You get a hit, you get a hit. But the way teams can be able to shift now, I know you can't shift as much as you used to be able to, but you still can move guys around compared to what they
I
used
did
to.
see
But
those comments at the bottom. The ground ball rate is a good thing to cite. Other thing to cite too is, you know, he's not going to strike out much, but he also had a 326 on base percentage. So, he it's going to just be being more selective, understanding what he can do. And I'm not dinging him. I mean, he's 20 to be 20 years old and be in double A is impressive as hell. Look at it this way. If he'd gone to college, we'd be talking about probably him, coming out in the spring and starting somewhere in the complex leagues. So where he's at now is great. He's in a great position, and he's going to be in the major leagues this year. Just there's
yeah,
no reason why he has to be up there to start.
yeah,
Maybe they'll put him in Korea to start for 2 games, and then send him back to San Antonio. I could see that happening. I don't. I think I'd still owe Eric food, which will be ugly with my credit card bill. But yeah, we'll see how that goes.
no, no, I think you and I are on the same page. We're not down on the kid. The
No.
kid, the kid's really good. He's very athletic. He's got great back control.
Yes.
We're very high on the kid. I just don't want to rush the kid. That's all. I don't want to ruin his development. That's where I'm at.
I
Like,
don't want to start Dylan Head in center field. I think Dylan Head's a hell of a
you
player. All right.
know,
So
I
I
don't want to
mean,
start. I don't want to start Ethan Salas at catcher.
yeah, but I was
He,
thinking when
I
I was
think he
coming
just got
on,
his driver's license.
right? I was thinking when I was coming on tonight, a good example is like I'm a big fan of the book Moneyball. It's Michael Lewis is a great author. Yeah, the guy who wrote the movie, Aaron Sorkin. It's a lot of fun, and one of the biggest scenes in there is, when they're in the draft table and they're sitting around saying we're not selling jeans here, and everybody laughs at that, and it's a funny scene. It's a funny scene, but it's also complete bullshit. I mean, think about it this way: if I was on here with you and you said to me, God, with Trent Grisham leaving, John, who do you think they're going to start at center? Is it going to be Dylan Head or Homer Bush Jr.? The comments would be lighting up, going, Craig, you're an idiot. They don't start guys out of the draft, and that's what that whole scene was about. So, I
Right.
understand people kind of going. I understand people got a lot better things to do in their lives than the shit like the Mad First guys and I do, where we record what the draft bonuses are for everybody when it comes in and figure out how much money the Padres have to go. I understand people got better things to do with their lives. I don't, unfortunately. But
Right.
you know, there's a reason there's different levels of the minor leagues, and
Sure.
people learn different things at each level. And I want to see Jackson Merrill as a long-term Padres shortstop. I think I think Jacob Marcy would be one hell of a center fielder. His bat really came on. All these guys had really good years last year, but just to say that they're ready is not accurate, in my opinion.
I, I like what Matt just said. He says it's better to overdevelop than underdevelop. I mean, I agree with
Yeah,
that. Yeah. Let's move on. Move on to. We'll just go to some of these prospects, and you just give me your thoughts on
cool.
Ethan Salas. I assume he's going to start in Double A. Hopefully, we're not putting him batting third. Like on the major
Well,
league roster.
un- unfortunately, how some of the discussions on Twitter have gone, it's either that since Joe Mauer's going in the Hall of Fame, should we just write Salas's speech right now for him? Or we think he sucks because we don't think he should be starting. Now, somewhere in that, there's a middle ground. Okay, I
Little
mean,
range there. Little range there.
yeah. So I think Ethan Salas. I saw him last year in spring training. I thought he was tremendous, tremendous approach and all that. At the same time, his first month in Lake Elsinore, when he just turned 17, he hit 190. Second
Uh
month, he
huh.
hits 360.
Right.
Great month. And then for some reason, the Padres decided he needed to be up in Double A. He hit
I know.
200 at Fort Wayne. He hit 190 there. I understand all the small sample sizes and all that. Again, being conservative in this way, I had no problem where you got a guy who's a high school junior. Okay, let him
Right.
finish out the year in Lake Elsinore. Let him start out next year in High A, where he'd be a high school senior, be about 4 years younger than most people in that league. If he hits well, send him with the Double A. Now the counter argument is they wanted to get him up and work with a lot of the pitchers and all that, but it's just, being a catcher is tremendously difficult. You know, they screwed up Austin Hedges' development quite a bit. Who's a huge whipping boy with the Padres and all this. So I think he'll be okay. He has a really good approach at the plate. Again, this is something I just think is kind of unnecessary. Yeah,
Yeah.
Salas could be a unicorn. I mean, I agree with that comment. I'd start him at high A personally. They wanted to build a relationship with the pitching press. But there was one really good interview that my friends at Friars on the Farm, Donovan and Roy did with Robbie Snelling, I thought was interesting. But Snelling moved up to Double A really quick, and he was 19, and he had a little bit of a conflict with Salas, and he talked about it on the interview. Is he said, "Look, before I pitch, you need to do some preparation. You need to have notes on the players. We need to have an approach on this." And Snelling set him down and worked with him. And last outing, they had a really good one. My problem with that is, if you or I were running the team, is that's a neat story with Robbie. I'm paying a bunch of people to coach. Why, why isn't someone instructing Salas that when he goes up to Double A, this is what he should be doing? So again, I hope he'll be fine. I think defensively he can handle it, but
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
I just think I don't see what the problem is putting a guy who's 17 years old starting him in High
Yeah.
A.
I don't get the rush right now. Like I get it. You basically the last couple of years you thought you had a World Series roster, and it's almost like you don't want to show the fan base like unfortunately Peter Saller passes away.
Mhm.
I feel like you don't want to show the fan base like, oh, we're going back to the old days or something. But look, let's do this the right way. Like let's not rush these kids because I'm telling you, the only way or a better way of these kids not succeeding is rushing them. They're like Jordan Love, like it's his
Yeah,
fourth year. He finally started. Like, yeah, he probably was ready in year three or year two, but you're still you're not hurting him by sitting him that much time. Like, I don't know if you would have played him his rookie year, he probably probably would have screwed it up or it would have been
there's a
might
real
have
good
ruined his
comment in
career.
there about Salas's glove. I think by Matt C. And I think uh, I think he makes a good point. I'm not worried about his glove, okay, but he had some problems going after
No, not
getting
at all.
coming out of the squat. But as a catcher, you got to do a lot more than just catch. You got to be,
Yeah,
going over reports. You got to be dealing with the pitchers, and those are the things I just think he could develop a little more. Again, not dinging South. South was their overall number two prospect. I went on Darren Smith's show. I think when I first saw him, I gave him rave reviews. I was ahead of, I guess, Keith Law. If you're keeping track of when I said something that looked and dinged me for being wrong, just listen to this podcast. I'll say enough stupid shit to make everyone happy on that level. But he was ready then. It just things take a while, and now the stuff where God, he could be in the major leagues at the end of the year. I mean, I don't know. We'll have to see what the year is, but there's just so much to do as a catcher.
that's
It's
another
such a
thing,
tough
John.
job.
That's another thing that Lynn was kind of writing, like, oh, he might be ready by the end of the year. I feel like the Padres are feeding this bullshit to the media, like, hey, you better say this because I think they anticipate the team's not going to be that good. Like, I bet the under 81.5 wins. Like, I don't think they're going to be a 500 team. And I, I mean, you could disagree with me. That's perfectly fine. I mean, I've lost.
I don't know if
Yeah.
they. I mean, I think it's a decent. I don't know what they'll do. I mean, I would say this. I think Dennis Lynn was on Darren Smith's show last week, and he had a lot of information on Tommy Pham. And Dennis I know and like a lot, and Dennis
Oh
is
yeah, he's
pretty
solid.
well connected. So if he had that much information, I would assume that there's going to be something coming down with Pham. I think he'd get a 1 or 2 year deal would be fine. As far as how well they could do, I think Fernando could have a better year this year. Manny could. I mean, the whole thing's going to come down to the three pitchers they got in the Soto deal. So what they will do,
Oh,
I don't know. I mean, they could be really good.
I think that
They could
Soto
not.
deal. I think that Soto deal is a great deal. I think we lost the
Yes,
Nationals deal. I think we won the Yankees deal. I think that deal was a really good trade. The Yankees won.
it
Um,
was. I mean, getting King. I mean, the only thing I kind of worry a little bit about the guy they got back, Drew Thorpe, is, and I haven't seen it. There's like three guys who I really respect, and Eno Saris and Eric Longenhagen and Keith Law all have very different opinions on what Drew Thorpe's fastball is. Everybody raves about his changeup,
it's it's
but
pretty
the
strange.
changeup, yeah, but the changeup is
No,
something that
changeup.
you see. The
Changeup's
changeup's
nasty.
real. Changeup's ability is great, but the problem
Changeup's
is
nasty.
you see a lot of guys with good changeups and they don't have a good breaking ball struggle at
Yeah,
Double A. So
yeah.
I want to
I'm
see
a
what the fastball looks like, and I'm looking forward to seeing it.
yeah, yeah. You and I
Yeah,
haven't
really.
seen him that much. From
Yeah.
what I've seen, is the fastball is a little too straight. And
Yeah.
he's not throwing 96, 97 like Paddock.
Oh
You know,
no, 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 no,
and I
no.
do, and he's a little. I'm a little concerned that he's only two pitches changeup fastball. If you're only throwing changeup fastball and you're throwing 92, 93, you're
Fastball
gonna get.
really better move or sink or do something, man.
Yeah, you better
Yeah,
you
it
better
better
have a
not be
sinking.
straight.
You better have a
Yeah,
sinking fastball that could get some ground ball outs because you're not gonna
yeah.
get strikeouts fucking throwing. But we'll
Well,
we'll get to him.
if you like fastballs, the guy who I saw last year who's a blast is Iriarte. That's a guy who is someone everyone should keep their eyes on.
Oh,
That I
I'm
like quite a bit.
I love Iriarte. I love
Now
him. We'll
Iriarte
get
is
to him.
one of the yeah, he's one of the few guys that can just throw a fastball and
Oh,
it
his
doesn't really
fastball.
matter.
His fastball's got some two seam to it. It's moving. That
Oh
ball's
yeah,
moving.
at 97.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, we'll get to him. I'm gonna go through the list. I'll just go through like 10 guys. I mean, I'm not gonna
Yeah,
keep
that's
you.
cool.
I'm not gonna keep you here all night. You tell me if you got to go or whatever. Um,
I don't have that fascinating a life, man. I'm fine.
me me neither, John. Me neither. Um, I like Robbie Snelling. I like him a lot.
Yes.
He was
You're a
very
football
impressive.
guy, so you should like him. Yeah.
Very impressive coming out of high school, and he just looks so poised. Do I think he's going to be a frontline starter? No, I don't. I don't
Yeah.
think he'll be a frontline starter, but can he be a potential three? I think his highest ceiling is three, but I think his floor is a five. Like I saw someone was saying like his control's not good, and maybe he had a lot of walks. But when I watch him, like I didn't feel like he had a lot of walks. Maybe the numbers show he has a lot of walks. Um,
Yeah.
the fastball, I mean, it's not the greatest fastball, but I mean, he's throwing it. He's very accurate on his fastball. Like you could have a fastball, John. You can throw it 99, but you don't know where it's going, or it's going into the guy's hitting zone. It's gonna get fucking hit. You place that shit on the corner at 95, it's a better pitch than 99 where the guy wants to hit it. You
I
know,
think I can give a quote now. It was from his manager Pete Zamora. He told me off the record, but I don't think it's a bad thing to say. He goes, the thing about Robbie, he said, Robbie really developed a good changeup. He really commands his fastball, but what really separates him is he really is a competitor. And as nice and polite a person he is, he he's intense on the mound. And as he said, is some guys that are that age, if a guy hits a home run, and this is Pete's quote, he goes, the
rattles
guy
them.
will kind of shy away, he won't come back. Robbie's main goal, if you hit a home run off him, he wants to shove it up your ass the next time, and he will shove it up your ass. And that's how he looks at everything. I mean, he was gonna go to LSU or University of Arizona as an outside linebacker. And I
Notre
mean,
Dame. I think it was
Notre
Notre
Dame,
Dame, right?
Notre Dame was he was going to LSU though. I think Notre Dame recruited him. I'm not sure, but it
Oh,
was
okay. Okay.
the
Okay.
thing about him that is different.
He's
And you're
stocky though.
so
Like he's stocky
he
like a linebacker, dude.
he's lost some weight. He trimmed down, and that's as someone who has kids like I do, what's going to freak you out if you talk to him. When I did last year at 19, I couldn't believe I was talking. I couldn't believe he and my kid were the same species. I mean, let alone he was so mature. I mean, yeah, he goes at 16. I had to make a decision. I decided I was going to play one more year of football. I had to lean out. I had to do this, this, and this. And he is so disciplined. And the thing is with the Padres, and I kind of agree with him, and he's kind of like Merrill in this way. If you get to talk to these guys and you're around them just a little bit, as small amount I am, I've interviewed Robbie twice. I've interviewed Jackson about 4 times. They're very different, mature, very team oriented guys. So they're type of guys that I really think could help you win. So yeah, Robbie's impressive as hell. I mean, I'm a huge Robbie Snelling fan.
Yeah, I like him.
Yes.
I like the composure that he has. Like that kid doesn't get rattled. I mean,
No.
he honestly looked like he's like 24, 25 years old. And you're just like, wow, dude. Like that kid, I I don't know. I mean, I think his parents like, he looks like a kid that he's got a good head on his shoulder.
Oh,
He's not he's
that's
not a hothead.
that's a huge understatement. Yes, he has. I mean, I've never met anyone in my life who's that age that mature. I
Yeah.
mean, I know guys in their 50s that aren't that mature. I mean, Jesus. I mean,
I mean, right. Like Mackenzie Gore, I loved Mackenzie Gore, but he looked like a hothead. Like he would walk somewhere or got squeezed, and it would be like he kind of lose it after that. And you're like, dude, and I mean, it's easy for me to say I'm fucking 42 now. It's like, dude, calm down. Like, what are you doing? But if I was throwing 97, 98 right on the black, and I felt like it was a strike, I'd probably bitch too. I mean, I remember playing basketball. I thought I got fouled every play, but I
yeah.
mean, you know, Snelling it's almost like he ain't gonna get rattled. Like I feel like remember when Weathers played against
Mhm.
the Dodgers in the playoffs? I was so impressed. I was like, holy shit, dude. What is he like? I think he was like 20 years old, 21 years old. And I was
Mhm.
like, I just was like, holy shit, this guy's playing in the playoffs against the Dodgers, and it's just like it's not bothering him whatsoever. I feel like Robbie
I
Snelling's
saw him
like
in
that.
I saw him in low A, and I saw him. He did get rattled. And he really he like a guy made an error out in the outfield, and he held
Weathers?
up his hands.
Weathers or
Yeah,
Snelling? Oh
Weathers,
yeah, yeah.
and he goes like, what's this?" And the manager on the team really just reamed him out. And Weathers is another guy that they decided that he was okay in low A. Pandemic comes, and they decide to move him up. And
Yeah,
Weathers
to
is
the
a guy
major
who
leagues.
never, yeah, and guy who never developed effective breaking ball.
John, from low A to the major leagues, what are we doing as an
Yes,
organization? What are we fucking doing? We're the only ones who do this shit, John. Like, what are we doing?
I
God
think,
damn.
in my opinion, and we disagree with this on internally on Matt Breyer's going back and forth, is I think a lot of it has to do with Preller at his heart is a scout, which is great. And so the
Yes.
thing is, if there's a huge difference between when people say the
Scott GM.
minors and all this, between scouting and development. And the
Yes.
development guys, have some very different off the record opinions of that. Then there's guys who are development that are in San Diego, guys that are development in affiliates, and the scouts. Like I was a scout and you were in development, and the guy I picked wasn't doing that well, I would say, well, Mike, the guy I picked was great. Craig's the one who screwed him up with all this. Oh, we got to do this and this, and
Exactly.
that's what they start
Exactly.
doing. And I think a lot of times, you know, you just got to wait a little bit. That's
Yes.
all I'm saying. I'm not saying they suck.
I would rather wait longer than rush them, dude.
Right.
I mean, you don't put a guy in low A and as a pitcher and bring him up. Like I know everyone hates Ryan Weathers in this fan base. I get it.
Yes.
Like he got bombed. I think they fucked his development. I mean, I really
Oh
do.
yeah. I agree.
I think if he went to a different organization, I think he would have been better off. The Marlins, I think, have him now. Some guy tweeted out he's an ace. I mean, I don't agree with that, but I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Ryan Weathers pans out somewhere else. I think
Well,
they fucked him.
here's an example when people are saying, "Well, what do you guys mean? Like he needs a weight and all this?" I would say you look at it this way: when you go up to Double A in the Texas League, there's 10 teams
Yes.
there. Okay, the thing is, about 5 of them each division just play each other all the time. So if you and I are Double A hitters and we see a guy and he has a fastball and he has a changeup that he can't throw for a strike, you and
Right.
I are sitting fastball the
Right.
whole bat. And so you're going to learn when you're up there, you better develop a breaking pitch that you can throw for a strike or you're going to get smacked. And now there was a guy, I'll tell you, if you go back to Kevin Acey, there was a time when David J and I ripped Kevin Acey because he said Nick Morgavicius was coming up to start.
I
And
remember that. I
we,
remember
we
that.
yeah, and we called him an idiot. We said Kevin was wrong, and he did. And
Yeah.
Kevin was a really good guy because we came back and we said, "No, I think we'll call you an idiot, and then when we're right, we'll just eat shit again." And AC wrote us back a DM saying it's really nice that we thought this was funny, but we were right in the sense
Right.
that what
You
happened
got
was he had a fastball and a changeup. He couldn't throw a breaking pitch. What happens in major leagues? You do that, you get killed.
you were wrong that he ended up coming up, but you were right
Yes,
that there's like what the fuck are we doing? Like there's no way
right.
because I remember that kid came up and we were playing I went to the game I think with my brother. We were playing like the Rockies or something.
Hmm.
And I was like, dude, this is a competitive team. Like we're trying to make the playoffs here. I don't remember what year it was, 2020, 21, whatever that kid.
It was a
And I'm
little bit
like,
earlier than that, but yeah, yeah,
yeah,
you're around.
or maybe it was 2019. Is that when we got Machado? Whenever we got Machado, I was like, okay, the goal now is to make the playoffs. Um, and I just remember, I'm like, we're not making the playoffs throwing this kid out there. Like, what are we doing? Like, I
He
mean,
was, he's if he. It's like with Weathers. He had a really good run in
Davey
April.
says 2019.
Yeah, could be, and he had a really good run in April. Guess what? He just needed to develop a more consistent breaking pitch. Didn't mean he sucked. Didn't mean he was
Yeah,
bad. But there's a reason. And then if you go back to hitters, if you just sit there and you go, I'm just sitting fastball, I'm going to sit in the middle of the plate, and this guy can't throw two consistent breaking pitches. Guess what? In Double A, they can't. In the major
right.
leagues, they sure as hell can. And that's why we just sit there. It's not that I'm a mean old cranky old man on this, and I am a mean old cranky man. But
I'm
there's
there.
different reasons for it.
I'm there, John. I'm there.
Yeah.
I've gone. I'm at that age where people are like, dude, you're just always pissed off. You're always in a bad mood. It's like, no, I think we're more seasoned, John. We've seen this. We've seen this movie where it's just like, come
Well, I
on,
didn't have
dude.
any
Like,
gray hair until I got married, so I always point that out.
shit. But John, it's all over, dude.
Yeah, man,
That's
it's there.
it's there. I want to talk about one guy I am absolutely in love with is
Okay.
Dylan Lisco. I
Ah,
know he
yeah,
had the Tommy John. I
yeah.
think this is front of the rotation guy. And
Hmm.
to me, he's a little underrated. Like, um, what's his name? Who's the athletic guy? Keith Law. Keith Law does more on potential. Like, I think he had Ethan
Oh,
South.
Keith Law loves Bledsoe. Yeah.
Right. He goes more off of potential. And I like Keith Law's rankings off of potential compared to almost like what is his numbers in the minor league. I mean, I understand you're going to rate it off of what your numbers are. Like I somewhat agree with that, but you should go off of potential more. I remember when Keith Law first started, he wrote Tatis like he ranked him like 45. and no one even really knew who he was. And I was like, dude, if this guy's rating him 45, we fucking already won the deal. Like
Right.
we got out of a contract. What I'm trying to say is, let's go. We got a lot of pitchers in this organization. I like our pitching staff. As far as I don't like it this year, but I like it in starting in 2025 and so on. But I think Lesko, I don't know when he'll come up. I mean, shit, we'll probably bring him up opening day. He'll be our opening day pitcher the way
He could
the way
be
things are
he could
going.
be he
But
could be in Double A for most of the year. I mean, the thing about
I,
Lesko,
John,
he's impressive.
I love this guy. This
Yeah.
guy's got
Good.
three legit pitches. This guy
Mm.
is front of the rotation. This is stuff. I look at stuff, and as long as you can control it, because okay, let me give you an example.
Okay.
Paddock was throwing 97. He was just painting it. Well,
Yes.
down in the minor leagues, they can't hit that. Where they can't hit that outside fastball. They can't hit that inside fastball. And he's painting it and he's dropping a changeup. I kept saying to myself, everyone was like, "Oh, he's a one or a two," and I'm like, "He's not a one or a two." I was like, his potential. I almost look at it like Robbie Snelling is like a three. Is to me is like the high. The low was like a five, and I felt like he was going to be more of a five for Paddock. And I know that rookie year he's fucking blowing guys away, but when you only have two pitches, dude, you go through that lineup two, three times, they're gonna fucking hit you. Lesko's got three legit pitches, so I think he's legit. I mean, I've only seen him pitch probably five, six times, but
Yeah.
go ahead on Lesko, John.
Well, I mean, on Paddock, first of all, what you said, Kevin Charity was the one who told me about him in Lake Elsinore because when he first got traded, all the guys were raving about his changeup. And then Charity said, "Hey, you got to come see him. This guy, just what you said, he's about 96 or 97." Then Kevin kind of got on some trouble on Ben and Woods. Not trouble. Kevin said, "Look, he can go to the major leagues right now because he has two pitches. Unless he has a third pitch, he's going to eventually struggle," which Kevin was dead right. Now, if you go
Dead right.
back to Lesko, the
Dead
thing
right.
about Lesko, which is cool, is he throws about between, he can go between 95 and 98 with a riding fastball up. And then he
Yes.
has that changeup, which is more like a screwball. And then the thing
Oh,
is, what I think you and
that
I like a lot is some
that
people
changeup is
don't.
nasty.
His changeup's nasty, but Kevin and I went to a Storm game last year in person. His curveball is really damn impressive too. Because if you're a right-handed hitter, put it this way, you're getting a fastball that's coming in at
Yes.
96, 97. You're getting a changeup that's coming into you. And then he
Yes.
has like a curveball that drops straight down, a little mini one,
So
which is
he's hit.
impressive as hell.
He's basically hitting three corners of the box, right?
Yeah, and he's hitting the middle, down the middle. He can hit the corner. I was talking to him last
But
year, and he was working on a slider. If he gets a slider,
oh,
it lights
John,
out.
oh.
Yeah, yeah.
But what I'm saying is, he
Mhm.
could strike you out on three, like you're saying. His fastball kind of rises and it goes a little, it tails away. I'm just saying a right-handed hitter, so
Right,
it tails away a little bit. So he could get you up in 96, 97. He gets you up and away. Then
right.
he could drop that changeup, like you said. It's like a screwball comes down and in. So he could
Yeah,
get you down and in. So just hitting the boxes. Let's just say he's pinpointing it, and then he's throwing that slider or curveball. It's a curveball, and he's
right.
throwing it down and away. That's the difference of him and Paddock, where Paddock is just only getting you on the fastball up and away and a changeup, where he's fucking dropping a curveball on you, dude. That's the difference of fucking yeah, he's
Oh yeah.
okay to this guy's legit.
Well, he would have, according to, I interviewed Keith Law after the draft, and he pointed out that if Lesko hadn't gotten Tommy John, Lesko probably would have been top three or top four pick in the
Uh
draft,
huh.
maybe number one. And so when it came time to pick who Preller was going to take, that was one of the easiest mocks you could ever do. You knew that if this guy was available, you're grabbing him. It was a great move.
And
Great
where do
move.
we pick around 15? I think we picked him
They got him
15.
around 12. I think it was. I got to
12.
look. I think it was around 12. Yeah, they got him
I
pretty high,
remember.
but they got him good. And
I
they got Snelling in the same draft.
oh, what a beautiful. They had a great draft. Worst offseason
Yes.
in Major League history signing guys like Darvish,
Yeah.
Cronenworth, blah 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 blah. Great draft though. Great draft. And
Yes.
that's what I
Very
think.
good drafts.
I think. Oh, it says
15. Yeah.
15.
Thank you.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
I have a guy that's kind of in that industry that minor leagues like signings, whatever
Mhm.
draft, and he texts me. I don't know shit about Let's Go. I didn't know shit. he texts me. He's like, "Dude, Medi, this guy is fucking legit, top 5 pick easily.
Oh yeah,
Uh, as long as this guy stays healthy, we just got to steal." And then when we drafted Snelling, he was like, "Another great pick." He was like, "This draft is gonna." He's anti-Preller, kind of how I am, but he's like, "This draft's gonna be good." 1 year later, I'm like, "Jesus Christ, this is a great draft. I love it." What I want for Preller and this organization, I just want to say to anyone that's watching right now, is I would. I'm not a Preller fan. I think he should be fired, but I think he's
mhm.
actually the right GM for this job right now because if the organization, the ownership tells him, "Dude, we're not going to spend for a year or two, and you need to slowly bring these guys up, and by like 2026, you should have a good roster," then I think he's your guy. If you're gonna try to fast track everything, which Seiler tried to do, and look, I don't want to I don't want to rip on anyone that passed away, but
Right.
I think Seidler knew that he was going to pass away and he wanted to win a World Series before he passed away. So I
Yeah,
think
I
he
don't think
tried to.
that's. I think that's legitimate. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
think he
what we
did.
don't know is what we don't know is we don't know. Like on, I've had 5 or 6 different people tell me the Machado extension was all Seidler. I
Yes.
don't know about whether
I
the other
I
extensions
was
were
told
or
that.
not.
Yeah, I
But
was told that too.
AJ's a big boy, and unfortunately, if you're in his position, you got to be responsible for what you or the owner does. The difference with the Padres compared to like the Braves or the Dodgers is with the Dodgers, as much as I dislike him, when Andrew Friedman, if Andrew Friedman thinks we need to move on from Justin Turner, he doesn't have to worry about Magic Johnson saying, I like Justin. I'm going to extend him for 4 years.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
That
yeah,
that's kind of
yeah,
what the Padres got to do.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, but they could. The pitching is real. I mean, a lot of those guys are really impressive, and they could be fun to watch.
Yeah. What what I was going to finish off is what I
Mhm.
wanted to say is as long as they slow play this, I think it'll work out. If they try to fast track this and sign stupid and make dumb trades like, oh, we're going to trade someone down the minor leagues to get someone so that the fans kind of believe that this ownership, then I think it's going to be, we're going to suck as an organization. But if they
Yeah,
let all these guys kind of develop on the right terms, like not have Merrill on opening day and shit like that, and not have Salas in September, then I think that Preller is the right guy. Like you get the shortstop, I can't even pronounce his name. That's 17 years old. I
Leo
mean, that's
DeVries.
yeah, that. I mean, that bat speed looks pretty good. I mean, I'm not a scout, but I mean, if you know anything on that, you could comment on that guy. I mean,
Well, one,
you get someone.
I always hate that phrase by people in media or even you when you say you're not a scout. Dude, look, you've seen a lot of baseball. I've known a lot of scouts. Scouts can be wrong. Okay,
Oh
quite a
no,
few of
no,
them
no.
can. And you've seen a lot of
Scouts.
ball. And if you think he's fine, that's fine. It doesn't mean you're right. Doesn't mean you're wrong. It means when you watch baseball, that's who you like. And
Yeah,
I
no,
mean, a switch hitting shortstop with power. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to going out and seeing him.
yeah.
I mean,
He's gonna be fun to watch. Where do you think
and the,
you think he just goes down to rookie ball?
I think with the amount of money they gave him, my assumption is he's going to start in the Arizona Complex League because they moved it up a month, which will help him out a lot. And if he produces, I mean, I could see him being in like Elsinore. But I want to go out there and talk to some people and see it because I thought the interesting thing I found out last year about Salas is I was looking at him how well he looked, and I ended up talking to a bunch of the guys out there. And usually, a guy like Salas, you would start in the Dominican Summer League, maybe bring him over to the Arizona Complex League, and I mean, if you're really aggressive, he might be a little bit of Elsinore at the very end. And those guys said no.
Yeah,
Right now, the only thing we were concerned about with Salas is his workload at 16. But
I know,
the
dude.
question of
Jesus
his talent,
Christ, is he getting
we
dropped
aren't
off by his
concerned.
mom?
Yeah, we aren't concerned about his talent. Well,
Oh
I
my
mean, the
god.
thing about Salas is if you're like a soccer guy, Salas has essentially been in some type of complex or development program since he was 12 years old. His older brother was a big prospect. I believe he's with the Twins now. His younger brother just got signed. He's going to go with the Marlins. So he was just very comfortable doing all. Put it this way, I interviewed Salas last year, and it was right after he got done with a workout. And I said, "Hey, can I talk to you after you get done with your workout?" He goes, Getting changed, man. Why don't we do it right now? Perfect English. Sits there, goes back and forth about 7 or 8 questions. Says, hey, if you got anything else, let me know. I didn't have to go find a press guy. Didn't have to make sure he had his little smoothie, his drink, and he was all set. He just say, I'll talk now. He goes over, talks to 2 kids in Spanish, 2 kids in English, signs some autographs. I got to go run, got to go hit. Then I watched him hit 3 bombs over right field wall. And I'm thinking,
Oh,
huh, okay, this might be some guy we want to watch, you know?
that it's so impressive that these guys could speak so fluent in English. Like,
His
like I
English his English is
it
better than his Spanish. He grew up
that
more in Florida, and his
that
Spanish is good, but it's not
I
as good as his English, which
I
is interesting.
respect that so much.
Yeah.
I'm you guys ask him a question. I'm about to go to the bathroom just real quick. You guys ask some questions to John. John will answer them in the
All right.
chat. I just 2 seconds. I'll be
You're
back.
drinking the beer, man. Go ahead.
Yeah, yeah. I'm crushing it.
Oh man. Well, you guys can see my Zimbabwe cricket shirt up there. And you can see my dog is hanging out down here. So we'll see if any questions pop up. Oh, there was one question on who I liked at Lake Elsinore. The big guy to take a look on that would probably be Dylan Head. There might be a couple pitchers coming up. Cannon Kemp. I think Cannon Kemp might be one of the guys coming up there. Romeo Sabria, first baseman, keep an eye on. But yeah, should be a fun team. Homer Bush should probably be at Fort Wayne.
All right. Sorry about that, John.
No problem.
I'm back. All right. Let's get to my. I don't know if he's my favorite guy, but I don't even know how to pronounce it. Maybe you know how to pronounce it. Is Iriarta
Iro
pitching?
Iriarte, yeah.
Okay. I love this guy. I only saw him last year. Like he just kind of like flew up the. I didn't know who he was even in the going to last year. I started watching him. Someone, the guy I was talking about earlier, texted me. He was like, "You got to watch this kid." And I was like, "Okay." He texted
Hmm.
me like in May. I missed like the first like 2 or 3 starts or whatever, and just I mean, you're talking like I mean, he's skin. Hold on one sec.
Okay.
He's skinny, and he's not that big built like you
Well,
kind of
there's
want.
a no. I did interview him, and there's a little bit of misconception because I think Eric Longenhagen wrote on Fangraphs. He called him Thin Man Throwing. Is when I interviewed him, he's 6'3", 211.
Is he?
Okay, he's
I would
that
have.
big. He wears baggy
See.
clothes, but I stood right next to him, and he is every bit of 6'3", 211.
I would have guessed around 6'3". I wasn't saying height. I would have guessed around 190. To say is 211. I like
Yeah,
that. That's a
yeah.
lot better. I would have guessed 190. He almost looks like a tall corner. But I mean that
He
kid's
is
fastball has got movement. He's got I don't know. I mean he's got 2 other pitches. I mean changeup, curveball, whatever. He's got
he
other
has a
breaking.
changeup and a slider. They're
Yeah.
both
Okay.
good
Slider.
pitches. They
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
have to
You
be
know
a
what?
little more consistent.
You know what? More thinking about it, it is a slider. Okay. I just know
Mhm.
that he's got off speed pitches. Like it's not just he's blowing people away. Because I don't know about you, John, but when I see a guy in the minor leagues, I don't want you just blowing people away with a fastball. Because I'm like, I'll like be like, that's not going to work in the pros, dude. You know, you better be able to
For
have
the
some
most
off
part,
speed pitches.
I agree with you 100%. The thing is, on Iriarte and Ryan Berger are a little different in that I think, as it was explained to me, their fingers are a little longer, so they generate more spin. And when you watch
Oh, okay.
Iriarte throw, he's throwing a fastball that's moving in the strike zone at the top of the zone. When I saw him in spring training, it's one of the more. I mean, I get it. It was against minor leaguers with spring training, but he was pretty much out there, and they all knew a fastball was coming. They just couldn't touch it. It was right at the top of the zone. He threw a couple sliders, which were impressive. But his catcher, Brandon Valenzuela, said, everything he throws is hard. He said his damn changeup's 91. Okay, and that's hard. He
Yeah.
goes, his changeup is good. So right now, here's the big thing, which the Padres, after we're dinging him on Merrill, a little bit on South, are doing the right things. You could put Iriarte in the bullpen right now. I think he'd be fine. But
Yeah.
they're
I
trying
agree
to
with that.
develop him as a starter. Make sure those pitches are consistent because, you know, as someone who's seen him pitch like I have, if those if that slider and changeup are consistent, I mean that's a that's a very legitimate number three. Yeah,
Yeah,
they did
I'm.
send Uriarte down to the minor leagues today. Yes, that was true.
Oh, did they? That's good.
Yeah,
I
that's
like
good.
I like
Perfect.
seeing
Yeah.
that. But I do think he'll be on the team eventually this year.
Oh yeah, yeah. He could.
Or
I mean, the
let's.
one thing they screwed up was they moved him to the bullpen. Him and Adam Mazer a little bit last year in Double A because they were thinking of eventually putting him up, but I didn't like that because I thought that screwed up the development. I want those guys throwing innings. I want them throwing other pitches because right now in A ball, no one can hit that fastball. So he
Yeah,
had to be up there. Yeah.
but it's not straight. Like I see Thorpe's, and I think Thorpe throws around 92, 93. It's straight. It worries me a little bit. This guy's
Yeah, and
fastball.
lower than that, about 90, 89 to 92 or 93, and they've increased that. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, again, I want to see him pitch. You know, and I said that one guy, Eno Saris, who does a lot of really good charts, has said that they all agree on the velocity. What they disagree is on, like what you said, you saw it straight. Other guys have seen more shape to it. I don't know. I got to see him more.
Oh yeah, definitely have to see him more. I'm
Yeah.
talking about just spring training. That's the only.
Yeah.
And I
No,
watched
no one's
YouTube.
fastball moves in spring. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, okay. I've watched him like on YouTube when we traded for him. I was like, let me see the YouTube stuff. But I mean, you're
Hmm.
just seeing highlights. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, I want to see more. Um, all right, let's jump into a few of these guys. What do we think of Samuel Zavala, Jacob Marseille? I'm not too high on Zavala just because maybe I don't know. Maybe I'm discriminating him on his size. I don't know if that like he's just so skinny. I don't know. He did. It says he hit 14 home runs here, 20 stolen bases. I mean, I do understand that he's young and he was in low or in high A, so I do like that, and
He's
I do think he has some athleticism. Like he could
he
play
does.
probably all three of the he could play all
That's
three of
fair.
the outfield.
He can play all
But
three of the outfield. He's more of a corner. He's about six. He put on some more weight. I haven't seen him this spring yet because I haven't been out there. When I saw him in the Elser in spring, he's about 190, about 6'1". The thing which you're going to have a problem with if you see more of him, the leg kick he has is going to scare you a lot. That's what scares all of us. It's a huge leg kick. As far as
Uri,
Jacob
Ur,
Marcy,
Ur, Uria style.
yeah, yeah, Jacob Marcy is someone who I'm really high on because
Yeah.
Jacob Marcy, I think, is like a Trent Grisham who can hit. I mean,
Okay.
because he's one of
Talk
the
about him because I'll be honest. I don't know
smoothest
much
center
about him.
fielders you can see.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, I keep cutting down.
I don't know much on him. He kind of come out of nowhere like last year?
Yeah,
Like I don't.
he's a really good scouting pick by the Padres because he went to Central Michigan University, played right field. That was because his manager thought there were more balls hit to right, so he should be there. You see, I saw him play at Lake Elsinore last year. I was kind of so on him. Then I saw him play 5 games, 5 game series in Fort Wayne. Just takes perfect routes, very smooth. Had a on base percentage over 400. Never had been below 400 for his on base. Very picky. Whole thing was to make contact on pitches he could hit. Former, high school halfback. He's a lot faster than he looks. Very under the radar guy. As far as Graham Paul, I just saw something ask what I think about people saying he's ready. It's probably one of Eric's Sichuan 4 because the bet is I go to a Sichuan restaurant where he can chow. So Paulie's had even less plate appearances than Marcy. He's had like about 60. Paulie really came out of nowhere. Paulie came from a
Yeah.
guy who was pretty much was told he was. Dennis Lynn has a great article on him. Was that he was going to struggle to make Duke's team as a sophomore, put up good numbers, made a couple adjustments in his swing. He hit more home runs this past year than he did in his career at Duke. So he's kind of a late bloomer, very high character guy, can play third, left field, first, second. But yeah, he needs, again, I mean, I'm sorry to sound like a broken record, but maybe I'm
No, no,
old,
no,
so
no.
repeating myself. He just
No.
needs more time. I mean,
You're
that's it.
you're on my stream here. We're on the
Yeah.
same page on that shit. I didn't.
Good
I'll be
player.
honest. I didn't know much about, or I still don't know much about either Paulie or Marcy. I am.
Yeah.
I I don't know.
Great
I
pick.
usually
Great picks
go.
by the Padres. One was a 6th round pick. One was a 13th round pick.
Yeah, I
Tremendous move by the scouting department.
um yeah. I mean, so Marce, do you think he can? Do you think he could play center field? Is that what some people are saying?
Not, not okay. Not right now. But as far as we'll put it this way, Marcy could play.
Am I
Marcy
wrong
could
that
play.
some? Am I wrong
Marcy
that
could
some
play
people think he could play center field? Because I don't know
defensively. He
much on
could.
this kid.
No, defensively he could play center field right now in
Oh,
San
okay,
Diego. Would be tremendous.
okay.
Okay. Just at the bat, he just he struggled. He had like about 210 his first month, 6 weeks in Fort Wayne. Then he, made some adjustments, got used to velocity, did some more drills. The manager at Fort Wayne did a great job with him, Jonathan Edwards. Yeah, again, just let him play at Double A. But if you watch him play, I would really, you would just see. You kind of got to see him in person because he makes so many plays look easy.
Yeah,
Yes, we did talk about Lesko. We
yeah.
talked about him already. Yeah,
We
we
talked
we
about
like Dylan
Lesko.
Lesko quite a
Might
bit.
want to go back on that. Okay. Now on the Yankees trade, I assume you don't know too much on him. I mean, I don't. I mean, I've only seen spring training stuff like Vasquez.
Not
Um,
as much now.
yeah, yeah. Okay, so we'll just kind of skip that. Now, Dylan Head, I've heard a lot of good things on him. I mean, I already heard that he went up to Double A, didn't he? Last year,
No,
like
that
as
was
a
Homer
reliever.
Bush. Homer Bush did that.
I
Homer
I,
Bush
I
was the guy who went up
apologize.
there.
That's who
Yeah,
I was. That's who I was actually trying to talk about.
right.
Was Homer Bush? I okay. Give me some thoughts on Homer Bush. I couldn't believe that he. I someone was in a DM chat and I was like, no, he didn't go to Double A. And then I was like, oh yeah, he did. I think I remember. Like
He went up there
so
because Marcy got hurt, and they needed someone to kind of come
he
up.
he could play center field defensively. Defensively, I think he would already be ready. It's just can he hit?
Yeah, the thing though about if you, well, I'll tell you what. This year, make sure you watch both Marcy and Homer Bush,
Oh,
and
I'm
then
gonna
come
watch them
back.
all, John.
Yeah,
I
I
got
know
nothing.
you will.
John, I'm not
But
gonna.
what?
I got nothing else to do.
Well, watch both those guys and compare them
I'm not
because
gonna
what you're
watch
going
the
to see.
major league team, John. I'm gonna watch the
Yeah.
fucking minor league team.
Well, watch the jumps that Marcy gets, and watch how many just perfect steps he takes. Homer Bush is an unbelievable athlete, good center fielder, but I think Marcy's a little better. Homer Bush, the thing is, this is a guy who came really far really quick. He was a guy who barely was on.
Now
When,
hold up, John. I want to interrupt you real quick.
oh, no problem.
You're because I haven't really seen Marte. I don't really know anything on him. You're telling me that he's better than Homer Bush as far as defense
In my
in center
opinion,
field?
yes.
Oh
Yeah.
wow. Oh wow. Because I've seen Homer Bush and I'm like, dude, this guy can play. Like
Yeah.
he almost looks like a free safety out there in center field.
You're gonna have to watch Marcy play a series,
Oh, good, good,
and just just
good.
just watch Marcy. Just watch how many wrong steps he takes,
All right. I
and
like
that's
that.
because I mean, look, if you're a football guy, that's one of the first things you look at for a free safety is
It's the
you
greatest
can
thing in
be
life is football.
you can be as athletic as you want, but you take a couple steps in, it
Oh,
doesn't
you
matter
take
how
bad
much you
angles,
can run. You're
you
dead.
take bad angles, John. You're done.
Yeah,
You're done.
Marcy doesn't do that,
Oh,
and I
good.
like
Okay.
Marcy's on base percentage at the plate. Homer Bush came a long way. I mean, he really dominated the ACL. And like Elsinore, he showed a lot of stuff. He hit about 247 with a 380 on base. He got hot for about I think a series and a half in Double A. He's going to be in Fort Wayne this year. I kind of want to see what the hit tool looks like a little bit. But as far as athlete, 6'3", 210, can run as I might be the fastest guy in the organization. Dylan Head put on some really impressive weight coming into camp. So if you go up to Elsinore, he's going to be a guy you guys should watch.
Yeah, he was the guy I talked to about the draft. He was kind of like he didn't really like him, but he was like he's got a chance.
He does. Yeah, he does
Yeah.
have a chance.
All right, let's get to a few more, and I'll let you go, John.
Okay.
My guy that I like is Victor Lizarraga, and I know he doesn't throw hard. I know,
Hmm.
but the kid's only 20 years old, dude. I
Yeah.
don't know if I like him just because he's Portuguese, but I think I think he's Portuguese.
No,
I
he's
think he
Mexican.
is. Oh, he's Mexican. Okay,
He's Mexican. Good
but
kid. Great sense of humor.
I don't know, dude. I know he doesn't throw hard, but that kid's got some. He's got some good, secondary pitches, and
Yeah.
when you're in high A, he was 19 last year, right? He pitched all in high A. Like, I don't know. I feel like he's like a sleeper. Like no one's really talking about him.
He's a good story because he's a guy who was kind of grew up on both sides of the border. He went to Montgomery High School as a freshman, and he
Yes,
told me
maybe
I didn't really.
maybe that's why I like him.
Yeah, he said he didn't really like
San,
school,
San Diego
so
boy.
he went down to. He talked to his parents, and he went to a baseball academy in Mazatlan. Got signed by the Padres as a junior, which would have been his junior year. Pitched well in ACL. Was really good in low A. The problem he had now is, as you said, he throws about
92,
89 to
91.
92. He
Yeah,
pitches like he pitches like a college pitcher in the sense that he really needs to have his curve and slider and changeup working. He understands
yeah,
that.
yeah.
So he could be someone that you could watch. I mean, as I said,
I
he's really young, but he's really old in the sense that since he's been about 16, he's been competing against guys about 10 years older than he is.
I feel like maybe John. I feel like if he adds like 2 to 3 miles an hour on his fastball, he's gonna be good.
He could, but yeah, that's yeah, that's tough. Yeah, it's tough. It could happen. He's pretty good
But he's
size. He's
still,
been on
but
more
John,
weight.
he's still young. You put on some weight, maybe you add it.
He could. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. I could see that. But
Okay,
all those guys are like that.
let's go to Ryan Burgard. I don't know anything
Oh,
on
Berger.
him. You were what is it?
Ryan Berger. Yeah, he's good.
Okay,
He's a really
talk about
interesting.
him because I don't know shit about him.
If you like Iriarte, you would like Berger's like Iriarte light. Okay, he's another guy who throws one of those really high fastballs. He uh, he changed his arm angle a little bit shorter. He had much more success this year in keeping the ball in the park. High strikeout rate. He has to get his sweeper and changeup going a little bit more, but he's someone who's a big sleeper. I mean, I like Ryan Berger a lot. Just that fastball can do a lot for you, man.
Now,
I
is
mean,
this
it's
more
one
of
of those things that just sits at the top of the zone. He throws in the high 90s.
is
He,
this
I
more
mean,
of a reliever?
he could be, but I think I'd keep going as him as a starter. He's someone who you could see being traded at the end of spring for maybe an outfielder. Because I mean, he's probably going to be about the fourth or fifth pitcher, and in other years he'd be one of our top guys.
Oh
He's
yeah,
really
yeah.
talented pitcher. I like him a
Okay,
lot.
okay. Do you have anyone else you want to talk about? Any sleepers or anyone that you think maybe that we didn't discuss? I mean, I figure I'm just guessing that you don't know on the Yankees guys that we traded for because I personally don't have enough. I haven't seen them enough. I mean, maybe you have that I haven't on.
Oh, Nathan
Vasquez
Mortadella.
or
I can talk about Mortadella a little bit. Is
okay, okay,
Mortadella?
yes, yes. I passed
He's
up
a
Mortadella. Yeah, I passed him up, and Mazer if you want to and
oh
talk about.
sure. Mortadella is a guy. He's out of went to Cal Berkeley. He's about 6'1", former high school defensive end, all league. About 6'1", 240, left-handed.
Yeah,
He's a better athlete than he looks. A lot of power. He's a guy who put up big numbers in Fort Wayne. Kind of got a little tired at the end of the year, Double A. He's another guy who needs about a full year there. Adam Mazur's an interesting guy in that it's another good analysis by Keith Law. He's a guy who has a fastball that kind of sits in the mid 90s. Good change, good slider.
sliders nasty.
Slider's tough. His curve is. If he has all four of those pitches working, he's about a number 3 or number 4. If he can get them all going,
I
he's a
like
thin
I
dude though.
like
He's about
I
six.
like I like Mazer in the bullpen. I feel like he could get right-handed hitters out. Like I don't know if he's going to be getting left-handed hitters, but right-handed hitters with that slider, dude. I think he's a
Only
big
thing I
piece
would
of.
push back a little bit on you on that is Iriarte'd be better because Iriarte has more of a fastball. These are really to work. He needs about 2 or 3 pitches going, and coming out of the
Okay.
bullpen, that's tough. But that's my
Yeah.
opinion. I could be
Yeah. No.
wrong on that.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Mazer's kind of when I watch him, he's either like off or on. You get the same sense?
No, I've read people say the same thing you did.
Yeah.
They see him
I
as a
feel like
bullpenner.
I feel like it's like off or on. Like I'll be like in the second inning, and I'll be like, oh, he's off today.
Well, if you go, one thing I can go off on this, I'll do this real quick, is I think if anyone sits there and wants to throw their phone or tablet against the wall and they hear me talking about Adrian Morejon, I understand that. But I've seen Morejon throw really well. But the problem with Morejon is Morejon as a starter can throw the easiest high 90s you've ever seen left-handed. And then, but it usually takes him about an inning, half or 2 innings to get that slider working. And then once the slider's working, then he has this ungodly knuckle curve, which three of his catchers have said is the toughest thing to catch, let alone try to hit. But if you see him coming out the bullpen, he can't throw the slider for a strike. They took away the knuckle curve, so he just has a high 90s fastball. It's very straight, and that's what gets hit. That's a guy I would see if you don't see. I think if Morejon's not a starter, he's not a really effective major league pitcher unless he can show that he can throw a slider coming off the pen. That's me.
John Moorhan was the weirdest. Like, I don't know the way I watch these guys. I would watch him, and I'm like, this guy is fucking legit. Next time I
Oh
watch him,
yeah.
I'm like, oh my god, what the fuck? Like, he was. I would tell everybody when he was going through the process, I was like, he's better than Gore. And everyone's like, well, Gore's ranked in the top 10 and Morejon's not even. And I'm like, guys, he's better than Gore. I'm like, this guy's stuff is fucking filthy. It's like 97, it's curveball, it's changeup. I'm like, this guy is filthy. And then the next time I watch him, I'm like, okay, I have to text these same people and be like, dude, he fucking sucks. It was the
The one thing
weirdest
about
shit.
Morejon that's even more impressive than his pitches, where it was
His girlfriend?
they didn't want his girlfriend in the front row because so many players would be out there looking at it. I remember I gave
He
Phil
should have put
Bowman.
him. He should have put him where the right-handed hitter, like a little bit to the right-handed side, so she could look at him. And they're just getting inside fastballs or something.
Well,
She is.
Wellman, the manager at San Antonio, was bitching about that in the post game when I was talking with him, and I said, "Well, hell, did you tell the guys not to look?" He goes, "Well, shit, I was looking too. What am I going to sit there and say?"
She is. She's filthy, dude. She is.
Oh,
She was. I don't know if he's still with her, Morhon. If you see this, I love you, dude. You have the you have great stuff. I feel bad because his arm kept getting jacked up, like kept
yeah.
getting injuries. Like that guy. I think
Occasionally,
that guy.
he was not in the best shape either. But
Yeah,
the one
probably.
thing about Morejon that really came out is I talked to him in spring training when he first came out. Okay, and he sat there the whole time in the interview. He just had his head down, was so shy, could barely talk. And then last time I talked to him in San Antonio, half of it was in Spanish, half was in English. My Spanish is okay. Um, and he was just really friendly and nice, and he was in better shape. So, maybe he can come. I mean, as you said, if you watch a lefty throw with that much ease and can launch something 97, that catches everyone's attention.
John, I thought he'd be like our number one at this time.
Oh, I did too. Yeah, me
I
too.
thought like I don't know 2019 somewhere around there or 2020 when he was like coming through or 21 whatever. I was like, dude, we got our guy. Like
Oh
I'm
yeah.
kind of like that on Lesko right now. But they were asking in the chat. I don't even know who he is. Isaiah Lowe. You got anything on
Isaiah
him?
Lowe's a pitcher they got in the 11th round of last year's draft. He's a guy that got out of a deal out of Wake Forest. Chris Kemp liked him a lot. He kind of had some problems, I think, with his. I think it was his shoulder. Supposedly he's okay. If he's healthy, he and another kid called Jagger Haynes could be really good coming up. But they both fought a lot of injuries. Pitching stuff. People just get hurt, and it's a lot of pressure
Oh
on your
yeah.
arm. But
Oh
Isaiah
yeah. I
Lowe's
mean,
someone to watch. It's a good question.
we were just talking about Moron. I mean, I if he didn't get injuries, I'm telling you that was a front of the rotation type of guy.
No, one thing about Morejon, I see that thing in the quote, the chat. Morejon did come into camp a couple times out of shape, but
Oh,
the
I'm
last
sure.
couple
Oh,
times
sure.
he's been in tremendous shape. It just is,
But John,
it's gone.
okay, let's say he came out of shape. I mean, you're talking about I mean, again, I'm not a scout. I know you said,
Right.
but I think he would have been a one if he's out of shape, a five at worst. Like that kid's
Oh
stuff
yeah.
was electric, dude. Yeah, I'm telling you, it was. I don't know if you agree with me. It was better than Gore stuff. Like it
It
just.
was yeah. It was about. I think they were about the same. And the one thing that
Yeah. Okay.
Morejon
Okay.
had,
Same. Like I thought it was. Yeah, I thought it was close. I agree with that for sure. And I
well, the one,
always was like watching Gore. I was like, dude, this guy's. We're gonna have two left-handers in the front of the rotation. Next thing you know, we fucking have neither.
but the one thing about Morejon too is his fastball. He had tremendous command of it. It had great velocity, very easy to see, very straight. So he needed to have
Yeah.
that slider
Yeah.
working. And the thing is, his best pitch, in my opinion, which I got to see close up a couple times, that knuckle curve is ungodly.
Oh,
That thing is right. Oh, oh, God, that was amazing watching that
I
thing.
don't know if you remember when Snell. I think Snell pitched I think he pitched like a 1/3 of an inning against Pittsburgh, and then I think Morejon came in, and then he got Tommy John, or maybe it was the next start, whatever. He throws like an inning or two, just like one, two, three. Like I was like, dude, we got our guy, and the next thing you know, he's
Oh
got
yeah,
Tommy.
yeah.
Just, but that's the thing about pitching. You better have 8, 9 starters going into camp, because
A lot of
fuck,
money.
you
They spent
never.
22 million on him.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it was insane. I would have too.
All right,
I saw him. He was impressive.
all right. You guys got any last questions? Otherwise, I'm gonna let John get out of here. Anyone's got any last questions? Moron blew out his arm 2 starts before
Yeah,
the Snell
that's right.
start.
Correct.
All right, whatever.
Good audience. Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right, John, I really appreciate it. I got you over an hour in here. Um, Thanks a lot.
No, it's a
I mean,
blast. I don't really get to talk many Padre prospects in Washington D.C., so this is always a lot of fun. So thank you for having me. I
yeah,
appreciate all the
yeah.
questions too. Very nice.
Um, you got anything like what do you? I'll give you one last thing. What do you think of the season? Like, I'm very intrigued on the Yankees trade that they had. Like, I've watched them. It's just spring training. I get it, but I could watch stuff and go, okay, that translates. Like Vasquez's stuff, it looks pretty good, dude. Burrito's stuff, it looks pretty good. And I
I would
think I
do.
think Niebla is going to help out those type of guys. And King's stuff is fuck.
Yeah.
King's going to have a better year than Snell this year. I don't care what anyone says. Snell's going to be at. He's going to be out of shape. He's going to get bombed. We all know it. He's playing fucking video games. Um, we
Yeah.
got destroyed in the Nationals trade. I said this, John, when we had the Nationals trades. It's the Stafford trade in the NFL. The Rams won the Super Bowl. We didn't win the World Series. We went for it, and I kind of respect that in a way. Like, we went for it. I thought Soto was going to put us over the top. I thought Tatis was going to play that year. He didn't play. We didn't win the World Series. I think we got fucked after that. But look, I think we did pretty good after it, and we got 4 pitchers and a backup catcher that it seems like he's halfway decent. Like, I know that doesn't seem like much about your backup catcher, but like, that's still
I'll put it this
valuable.
way. I agree with you on the trade. I mean, I look at it this way. I've been a Padres fan since we moved to San Diego when I was a little kid. So that's been since 1976. The Padres have won a grand total of one World Series game in my history. So if we have a
Yeah,
chance to win a World Series, I would take it. And I agree with what Bowden said, I think, on Darren Smith's show. It doesn't work after couple years with Soto and James Wood's an all-star. That's what you got to deal with and take, and I can accept that. As far as Matt asked a question on Humberto Cruz, a new guy from Mexico. I haven't seen him yet, so if anything I'm going to say is just repeating what Ben Badler said on Baseball America. I would look for him, and I
that's the
think,
17-year-old dude they just
yeah,
signed in the international. Yeah,
yeah, he is
you know
supposedly
what?
is a really good pick.
But that's what I'm talking about with Preller. Like, I think he's actually the best guy for the job right now. I don't think he was the best guy for the job to win a World Series, but I think he's the best guy for the job to go
It's
forward
not
right
just
now.
Preller. The guy that's insane. And then when I get a chance to talk to him a few times, is Chris Kemp. And
Yeah,
I'll go
I've heard.
back on one thing quick on this, so I won't eat up all your time. Chris Kemp. I remember I talked to him about Dylan Lesko after I interviewed him. I said, Lesko told me he was hitting 90 when he was 14 years old in Georgia. And Kemp says this, and it's not a flex. He just sits there and goes, yeah, some of our guys who are watching told me about that. And it's just, that's what he does. And I mean, that's just, he and a bunch of those guys are nuts. I mean, if you want to be a Padres scout, one guy told me he goes through a car a year. He puts like 200,000 miles on it. So that's impressive. And also, if you want a really good article on the guys got back on the Yankees trade, look up Fangraphs, look up Eric Longenhagen. And what he did is he compared the guys they got to the guys who walked away, and they came across pretty well. It's a very well thought out article, and he knows more about those guys in the Yankees than I do. So I would recommend people go
I
look at
want I
that.
want I want to say one last thing on the Soto trade. Soto's
Sure.
going to bomb. He's going to be like a top five MVP. He's going to have a great year. And I know we're going to see tweets. Oh my God, we traded him and this and that. You're looking at it wrong. He's either going to sign for fucking 450 million, 500 million with the Yankees, or he's going to walk.
They had
And
to
we
trade.
got controllable pitchers. King has only got 2 years, but if you extend King, then you got three other pitchers that are controllable. You have to look at it that way
Well, you
instead of
couldn't
just
keep
looking.
Soto. You couldn't afford him by the CBT cap.
Right, right.
Period. So there was no
Once you
choice. Not even a
once you
question.
once you signed Bogarts, I felt like Soto was gone, which was dumb, but you made that decision. I mean, I
Well, signing
Machado
Bogarts,
Machado was really the signing that was like I said, oh, Soto's gone because
well,
because
signing Bogarts not only was hurt the Padres, okay, signing Bogarts hurt the city of San Diego because it caused a lamb and chicken shortage because I had to feed Ortiz and Eric an Indian feast, and the amount of food those assholes ate was staggering. Okay, so that's what hurt that trade. That's how I'm looking at it. The way I look at it is AJ owes me about $100 for that. Watching those two big bastards eat Indian food. I
hey,
mean,
hey, you're
Jesus.
talking John, you're talking to a gambling man, dude. Like I got the under on the Padres 81 and a half. And I know people will give me shit. Hey, I'm just looking at it as a gambling man. I mean, I see I don't know. I see 75, 77 win type of season.
Good.
Here's what I see. I look at it as the gambling aspect for it. If Bogarts, Machado, or Tatis, one of them gets hurt for 4 to 6 weeks, I think the team's fucked because you just you just and I always look at every roster and I go, okay, give me one hitter in their lineup that's going to get hurt for 4 to 6 weeks, and give me one pitcher that's going to get hurt for 4 to 6 weeks, and tell me if they could weather the storm. I don't think we can weather the storm. That's what I think. But
I think that I don't disagree with you. The only thing, my thing is, I think how well the Padres do this year is going to come all down to how well those three pitchers from the Soto trade do. If they do well,
yeah,
they're going to be
yeah.
okay. But it's a big gamble. But you know what? You can look at the Dodgers, and as great as all the guys they signed, I would love to have the Dodgers off season. It's a big gamble with Tyler Glass now. It's a big gamble when they're starting
Oh yeah.
pitching
Oh
staff.
yeah.
It's
Oh yeah.
baseball. You just
No,
gotta watch it and
no,
looking forward to it.
no. And I want to say one last thing because I know people give me shit what I just said, but I look at the future. It should be pretty good. Like if
Should
you
be
do
pretty
it
bright.
right and you don't fuck things up and you don't rush people. I like our minor league system, and I loved our draft that we talked about with Snelling and
Hmm.
Lesko. Like that's how you build a roster. I want to be Atlanta. I don't want to do it L.A. the Yankees. I don't want to do it the Phillies and spend all that money. We're not that organization. We're not a top five payroll. Let's be a top 12 payroll, but fucking do it the right way. Houston, Atlanta, let's do it that way.
Well,
Let's
to end
go
on a
that approach.
positive note, I mean, I agree with you completely on the Lesko Snelling draft. But look at it this way: it wasn't a fluke. They got in 21. They got James Wood and Jackson Merrill in the same draft.
Yes, yes.
So
And
these
you
guys
pick
know what they're
and you
doing.
pick, and you didn't pick Merrill like top 10. You didn't pick Wood top
No,
10. Like I think I always look at this like the NFL draft. You're picking in the top 10. I can make the fucking pick for you. I don't give you credit if you pick, Panay Sewell in the top 10. I give you credit you pick um, St. Brown in the fourth round. Like then I give you credit. That's how like picking Wood, they picked him in the second round, right? Like
I
that's a
can,
really good
yeah,
pick.
I can say
Picking
this:
Merrill, I think they picked Merrill, I want to say 27 or something. Like
they're
that's a
around
really good pick.
21 or 22. Someone else, but
Okay,
that, yeah,
in
no,
the
you're right.
in the 20s. That's a really
But the
good pick.
But the thing that
Like
was
if
really
you
fascinating about that draft is we talked to Mark Connor, who was one of the guys behind it, is he said Wood was their top guy and Wood got the most money.
oh,
But they were smart enough to know that
John,
Wood was gonna go at lower because of his strikeout numbers in high school. He said the quants didn't like that. They knew Merrill would go a little higher. So think how confident that is that you say, okay, Wood's my top value. I'm going to make sure I grab Merrill, and I know Wood's going to be around late in the second round.
see, I
I had
didn't
the
know that.
money. That that's
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 awesome.
that's that's
That's
impressive.
awesome. That's
That's
awesome.
impressive.
Man, when they traded Wood, I was like, oh, the
Yeah,
only
you and me
guy
both.
Oh, it was like, I get it. You had to put one of them, um, Gore or Wood, probably in the trade, and I was like, just don't put both. Oh,
No, you know what's gonna make you feel worse is I've talked to about 3 or 4 people, and supposedly the
John,
original
I'm a
deal.
Lions fan and a Padre fan. I can't feel any worse.
You know, I got into cricket by watching Zimbabwe play because they were getting their asses kicked, and I go, "Hey, this is a team I can relate to." So, anyhow, supposedly with James Wood, the whole deal was the Nationals had seen him play because he's from DC area, and they weren't that crazy on him. And the deal was supposedly just going to be Soto for Hassel, Gore, and Abrams.
Oh,
And then the national scout came out and saw James Wood play, and he, called back. Rizzo said, "No, no, you got to get this guy.
oh,
Definitely
oh,
get him in there." But that
John,
was real
John,
close.
John.
That's a rumor. I can't confirm that, but I've heard that from 3 or 4 people. So you can
Oh
believe
my
it if you want.
God, John, I would have put in five other guys as long as Wood wasn't involved.
Oh, he was
Jesus.
a freak. Yeah,
I mean, even
unreal.
Susanna, I saw him just one highlight. He was throwing like 103. I was like, oh my God, like we're gonna get crushed on this trick. I mean, he'll probably blow out his arm anytime a guy's throwing that fast. Like he'll blow out his arm. But
Yeah, he has trouble
oh
knowing where
man,
he's going. But yeah,
I remember
he was
John. I
too.
remember. I remember the first game I watched in Wood. He fucking hit two home runs, and I was just like, it's just one of those things. It's almost like you're watching like Barry Sanders just go like 80 yards on two carries. You're just like, okay, we're just watching a different guy here. But I
Well,
was,
no, I'll stay on too long, but I'll tell you one other thing about Wood that I liked. I saw him in Lake Elsinore on television. He had a home run over the center field wall. Okay, and then about in the first at bat, then the third at bat, he comes up and he hits a ground ball to the second base, makes a move about 3 steps, and he beats it out. And the second
yeah.
baseman's looking,
Uh,
going like, "That's not fair."
he's yeah. He's got that long strides, like speed, like defense, like he could hit 240. Everyone's like, oh, he strikes out a lot. Yeah, sure, he strikes out a lot. I mean, okay. I mean,
What's he
that's
do when
how
he's not striking out?
that's how Major League Baseball is now. He strikes out, he hits home runs, he walks. But when he walks, it's not like Luke Voigt walking. When Luke Voigt walks, you need three more fucking singles for him to score. This
Yeah,
guy might
they
steal
did not
second
they
base,
didn't yeah
you
they
know?
didn't want to give Wood up, but that was the big holdup.
Oh,
Yeah, they knew it, but he was tough. Got to kind of take a shot at it.
yeah. But anyways, thanks, John. I really appreciate it. Maybe I'll get
No
you
problem.
maybe in the midway through the season
Definitely.
recap on some of these guys. Hopefully Merrill's still in the minor leagues. Um, at least like, come on, at least like June 15th, bring him
Yeah,
up.
a
Like,
little bit. We can
come
wait.
on, dude. Let's not fuck up his career like we did so many other guys. I mean, the list goes on. But appreciate you, John. Thanks a lot.
All
Tell
right, man.
everyone where they can find your information out.
You can go on Twitter. You can find us at Mad Friars. Go madfriars.com, and then it's $5 a month if you want to subscribe. But half the site's free. You can check us out if you don't want to. The money just goes to pay for plane tickets, rental cars, and hotels. None of it goes to Kevin Charity's beloved KFC buffet. We make him pay for that himself. And so we're all guys who have normal jobs, and we just go out and we enjoy minor league baseball. And it's always fun to come on here and talk about it anytime you guys want. So thank you very much again for having me. Appreciate
All
it.
right, John. Appreciate you, bro. Thank
Take
you.
care, man. Bye bye.
Thank you.